Hello and welcome to Spirits, Dallas's happy hour, talking about the hidden and upcoming artists in the world of gaming, art, social media, new media, and video. I'm your host, Kyle Condis, and I'm here with Nico Martini.
Hey, buddy.
What's going on?
How's it going?
All right. So, I guess, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
What do you want to know? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, just to let you know.
I am the social media manager and host a Americana singer-songwriter show on a CBS radio station called Indieverse.
Okay.
It's a streaming and HD2 station that is actually, we just got named best radio station in Dallas.
I think I heard recently that you're also one of the only independent radio stations online that are actually making profit too, I think.
Yeah. We are the only online streaming station in CBS's cluster that is actually turning a profit. So it's kind of cool because we're sort of turning into the model of how to do it right and sort of how to go about this whole streaming thing. And so it's a pretty interesting position to be in.
Awesome.
So,
well, how did you come about this? I mean,
I also have a company that I kind of do social media management for actors, artists, and musicians.
Okay.
And through that, one of my clients and friends of mine is the imaging director at CBS Radio.
Okay.
Here. And so he was telling me about Indieverse, and he kind of knew what I had going on, and he wanted me to check out the station and see if I had any tips for him, and tips turned into, can you do this? And then it turned into, well, how exactly involved do you want to be? And so it just kind of, it skyrocketed from like just sort of giving a little bit of advice to actually managing all of their social media. And so
like, what all does their social media include? I mean, I take Twitter for instance.
I run the Twitter account. We do we have a Facebook page. We're constantly interacting with bloggers depending on what show we're looking at. Like, for instance, we have a show called Bag Check with Ben. And what Ben does is he goes to either a festival or a city or a scene, a particular music scene. Like, for instance, he did he did Coachella, the music festival.
Okay.
The one that aired today was a look at Wales. So he looked at like music coming out of Wales right now. Then again, he'll also do like the shoegaze scene in Brooklyn. Because, I mean, Brooklyn is Brooklyn. I mean, Brooklyn has a lot of music coming out of it.
Exactly,
So you can kind of specify with that. But when he does something like that, I help him out, and we sort of virtually go into that place. Okay. Find the bloggers who actually know what is going on, communicate with them, kind of figure out what we need to be listening to. We're going to start soliciting the bloggers to actually present particular bands on that show. Like, for instance, if we did Oklahoma City, there's a blog up there called Hypeful. Okay. And so Hypeful would then come on the show and kind of say, hey, this is Lucas from Hypeful, and the band that I want you guys to check out from OKC is The Ugly Suit. Okay. And The Ugly Suit's great. They're friends of mine. They just released a new album. Here's one of their tracks. I hope you enjoy it. There you go.
So basically, you'll have the bloggers on the show. Basically, talking about their bands that they like. Okay.
As soon as we can get the logistics of and finding bloggers who kind of understand how to virtually record things. Like, obviously, it's easier for us to deal with people who are doing podcasts. Yeah. Because they know what they're doing as far as audio goes. Yeah. But as soon as we can kind of get that going, that's going to become a part of that particular show. Okay. So, for instance, that's one of the things that kind of happens underneath the social media.
Okay. How about your show? You said you're doing kind of an Americana show. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
I host a show called American Highway. That is, it's Americana, roots rock, singer-songwriter, just kind of, it's more of the jammy country fried type of indie music. And basically the way that came about was I was talking to Eric, our program director, about just kind of the genres and what all we were playing. And there was this huge portion of indie music that he was kind of missing it being the Americana. And I mean, Americana music is just as indie as Passion Pit and other, hipster bands. And I mean, hipster bands are great, but when you're calling your station the Indieverse and all you're playing is like hipster music, then you're kind of limiting yourself. So what I wanted to do was kind of say, look, there are other things that we should be doing, and this is just as indie as, Ryan Adams is just as indie.
Exactly.
So you need to be doing this. And so he basically said, yeah, you're totally right. Can you do that? Because I don't have time. And I said, okay, sure. I've never been on the radio, but absolutely, no problem. So. And I just finished recording my 9th episode, so I've been doing this for a little over 2 months.
So I guess it's per week?
Once a week.
When do you air?
Mondays at 4.
Mondays, okay.
Central.
Okay, and the station is, if they want to look it up online?
indie-verse.com.
Okay.
And it's a streaming CBS station, but go to indie-verse.com. We're also available on iTunes, and if you have a mobile phone, you can download the Yahoo Music app, which is powered by CBS.
Okay.
So you can find us there too.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, you mentioned earlier that you sort of have your own company that it's all started from. I think it's called Hype.
It's called Hypeworthy.
Hypeworthy. So how did that start about?
Hypeworthy basically came out of a conversation I was having with a friend of mine about the fact that there's this huge focus on social media just sort of in general, but one of the portions at the time that we felt was very lacking was individual attention paid to it. Okay. There's a lot of consultancies who do social media for things like Interstate Batteries or Chipotle or that kind of thing. They have people that they hired to do their social media. Yeah. Ryan Adams doesn't necessarily have somebody that he's hired to do social media.
More for the independent market, they kind of they're their own people to help, I guess, advertise them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's more about the fact that people are using the internet and using social media to find musicians, and what we found was there's kind of a disconnect in musicians using the internet to find fans. Yeah. And so basically what we do is we do social media management. So if we have an artist who doesn't have an official online presence, then we establish the official online presence, and then we figure out where they have fans looking for them. Okay. So for instance, my biggest client is Michael Urie. He's on Ugly Betty. Which is a show on ABC. Before we started with Michael, there were 7 or 8 fan sites online that he had nothing to do with. So he had an IMDb page that he didn't do. He had a Wikipedia entry that he didn't do. He had all of these fan sites that he had nothing to do with. So there's this huge online image of him that he had zero control over. So what we did was we gave him an official landing place. We put him on the social networking sites where he already had people looking for him, and kind of created sort of a more of an intimate connection between him and the people that were active.
And does he now interact with those people? Or?
Yes,
oh, okay.
Very much so. Very much so. He like this past year he got nominated for a couple of Teen Choice Awards, and I mean it's a lot of it. He's become really good buddies with Perez Hilton, which comes in incredibly handy. I mean, it's God love the guy, but it's a lot better to be his buddy than his enemy. I swear to God. We gave him a way to stabilize and solidify his online image. That's the most important thing we do. Of course, we can promote.
Yeah.
And we do marketing once we have it set up. And sure, the new season of Ugly Betty's coming up, so of course we're going to be talking about that and try to get people to watch Ugly Betty. But it's more about him controlling his own destiny online.
But now the fact that you're working with Indieverse, you're doing more music-generated stuff. So I mean,
yeah, it just sort of happened that way. I mean, I used to be an actor and a director, so of course initially I kind of focused on the acting thing.
What's your background on that?
What's my background? I got my bachelor's in theater. I moved up to New York to be a director. I directed a couple of shows off Broadway. It went really well, and all of a sudden I figured out that it wasn't what I wanted to do. Okay. And so I wound up coming back here and going into producing as far as Shakespeare, going into producing Shakespeare. And that led me to I was working with Shakespeare Dallas, and I kind of said, I don't understand why you don't have a MySpace page. I mean, this was
but before all the whole social media boom hit.
Yeah, and it was like, why aren't you using this? It's free. I mean, at the time, I had no idea. Now I know it's called social media management.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was just kind of like, I don't understand why you're not doing this. And they said, could you do it for us? And I said, sure. And that's how it all kind of started.
Well, okay, before we get back to the music part, what is your opinion on the whole social media management and social media world that's going on right now? I mean, there's some people who look at stuff like Facebook, MySpace, Twitter as nothing but just junk, and there's other people who know how to utilize it to make money for themselves. I mean, what's your opinion on the world as it is in that area?
I think that social media has completely changed how humans interact, and it's not junk. It's not, I'm washing my cat right now. It's important, and of course there are plenty of people who don't understand the importance, but at the same time, when color came out on television, a lot of people didn't necessarily understand why they needed color. The ultimate success in social media is going to be in that this is going to allow the first daily documentation of what it's like to be a human. That's never happened before. I mean, there are a lot of bands that you are probably listening to that you wouldn't have known about if it was not for the internet.
Exactly.
Because frankly, I mean, now that I'm in radio, I completely understand how it works, and radio is really interesting. And the fact is, we just got a new case study about people's attention span when they're listening to terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
You basically have 10 minutes, and then the channel is flipped. On average, you have an average of 10 minutes, which means, financially speaking, doesn't it make sense to absolutely force in popular music into every 10 minutes? And if the most popular song in the country is by Miley Cyrus and you're a pop station, you're going to force that in as much as you possibly can, because if you have 10 minutes of somebody's attention and they hear their favorite song right now,
they're liable to listen longer.
They're going to come back to you, And so that means taking risks in radio is going to drastically disappear. It's already not happening, but now that this has come out, there's no way.
Well, okay, let me bring that up.
Which gives the internet an opportunity.
Well, exactly, and the thing is, I have a friend who works here in one of the local, chains for the stations, and even they, the one thing I keep hearing, even just you listen to normal radio stations, you hear they're always having trouble because people aren't listening to the radio as much as they used to.
Yeah.
And now you have an online stuff like Pandora, which you get your own music stations based on your artist.
Yep.
Do you see radio? I mean, it's already challenged. It's already challenged enough whether or not it's going to survive when it comes to listening on the normal radio waves. But do you see radio dying, or do you see it just evolving to a new level on the internet, and staying around? Or
it's evolving. It will evolve. Radio isn't going to go anywhere. It has to change. There's no question about that. They have to figure it out. I mean, we were discussing 2 months ago about how the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to basically have DVRs for the radio.
Exactly. Yeah.
And literally 2 days ago, I heard a commercial talking about some car that has, I don't know what the device is. I haven't heard of it, but it is DVR. Basically, you can pause live radio and go back to it. Like it's constantly running a hard drive and recording whatever station you're telling it to. And so with that, you're going to have to find different ways to monetize radio. Now, if you look at television and you look at with the invention of DVR, their advertising prices go down because now we can skip them.
Exactly.
We're not forced into watching commercials. And so radio is going to have to adapt, but it'll always be around. I mean, it'll be around. It has to change, but it'll definitely be around. Indieverse is a great model, but I don't know if it would work for all types of music, because basically what we do is the thing that we've sort of pushed is we want to be a music blog on the radio. So we do a lot of, hey, if you like the Decemberists, check out Tarkeo, and if you listen to the Kings of Leon, you should check out the new Kills album, and that kind of thing. And so it's a lot of suggestion-based stuff, which is why people go to blogs.
You also did a lot of work with the Granada, I think, because I see you advertising all the time for bands maybe coming there. Or...
We have a really strong relationship with the Granada. The Nate, who's the head of marketing over there, he loves us and we love him, and basically he sees the value in our station, and obviously there's value with us.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, they're a huge, like, I mean, they're not the biggest, like, area to play music, but they're a nice venue that has a lot of independent bands playing here in the Dallas area.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of, it's a mutually beneficial relationship. Yeah. So, yeah, he actually just sent me a Twitter message saying every now and then he'll randomly, like, ask people, hey, are you listening to Indieverse? And we'll get all of these responses. And I sent him a message saying, dude, you need to cool out. People are going to start thinking we're dating. So.
Okay. Do you see yourself, with the way you started Hypeworthy, I mean, do you see yourself working more with music in the future now, or are you still going to work yourself around? Or, I mean, has this even changed what you want to do for a future career is?
Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of, I've basically, I'm also in grad school, so I've kind of given myself that amount of time in order to figure out where exactly all of this is going. So, I mean, obviously I have a lot more musical connections now than I did before I started working in radio. But, I don't know. Hypeworthy will become whatever it is supposed to become, I think. And, I think that the strategies are the same if you're dealing with Interstate Batteries or if you're dealing with Michael Urie on Ugly Betty. It's just, what do I choose? I mean, what I choose to work with.
Yeah.
So. Okay. I mean, that's why I started the radio thing, because it's kind of like an actor. It's kind of like a musician. So that's how that kind of started, and now it'll go wherever it's supposed to go.
Okay.
So.
Sounds cool. And before we head off, like I said, one of the parts of this show is it's happy hour discussion. Mm-hmm. I figure sometimes you get the most open discussion when you're actually maybe sitting down, just comfortable having a drink. Right. What's your choice to drink today?
Right now, I am drinking Redbreast. Which is an Irish whiskey that is a hell of a lot smoother than Jameson and a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, Redbreast. I usually drink either Irish whiskey or bourbon.
Okay.
So,
I'm
what
drinking
are you drinking?
Jack and Coke. I actually, normally my choice of mixed drinks is usually vodka tonic, but I still like a Jack and Coke every once in a while.
Gotcha. Way to go out on a limb, though.
I try.
Awesome.
But, so this has been Spirits. If they want to follow you, maybe know a little bit more about you, do you want to let them know where they can find you? Maybe
sure, yeah. I'm on Twitter. You can find me at Dr. Nico Martini. You can also go to indie-verse.com, or you can go to hypeworthy.net, and that's basically where I am.
Indieverse has a Twitter also, doesn't it?
Yes, Indieverse's Twitter is Indieverse. Okay. The website is indie-verse. The Twitter is Indieverse.
Okay.
So yeah,
thank you, Nico. And my name is Kyle Condis again. I'm your host, and I'm also, if you want to follow me, I'm at Kyle 1.0. That's Kyle 1 point spelled out POINT 0. Twitter, and also you can follow our Twitter, which is spirits_WWB. That's where we'll basically keep you on tabs of upcoming episodes, and also guests coming up, and we hope to catch you guys next time. Thanks. Peace.